Here to scan your ID badge. My lecture is only like 5 minutes if you want to come up and listen. My name is Deena Horn. I am an Assistant Professor at Weil Cornell. While I have you all here, in May we're having our annual conference. It's diabetic limb preservation. But today I'm going to be talking about Maxx Cell and bone marrow aspirate from mostly the heel bone. So why are we using bone marrow aspirate? When my patients come to the office and we talk about stem cell options, we have PRP, bone marrow aspirate, and amnio. When we tell our patients we're giving them a stem cell injection and it's amnio, you're not giving a stem cell injection. You're giving growth factors. When you do a bone marrow aspirate and PRP is platelet-rich plasma. You're getting one growth factor versus bone marrow aspirate, you're actually getting living mesenchymal stem cells. Mesenchymal stem cells are going to turn into osteoblasts, chondrocytes. So if you put amnio in a joint, you are putting growth factors in a joint. If you put bone marrow aspirate in a joint, you're actually putting future chondrocytes, which could help. It has hematopoietic and progenitor stem cells. The growth factors that you're getting are at a much higher level as well. So why are we using bone marrow aspirate versus something like PRP or Trinity? Bone graft substitutes are super expensive. When we have bone graft substitute, you're looking for osteogenic, osteoconductive, osteoinductive. By taking a little piece from the heel and just taking some of the cells out, you're actually getting the osteoinductive and osteoconductive cells. Using a little DBM, cost-effective for your hospital, is much less. Something like Trinity costs thousands of dollars. Bone marrow aspirate only costs a few hundred or a few thousand depending on your facility, and it makes such a big difference. So why are we going to use Maxx Cell versus the other ones? There's many on the market. Maxx Cell, Biologics, is a non-centrifuge. So normally we have to centrifuge these out. When you take bone marrow aspirate from the heel bone, in order to centrifuge with some of comparable products, you have to get 60 cc's. 80% of that is disregarded. With Maxx Cell, you just get and you use all of it. It's all progenitor cells. You get a new layer of zone every time, and I'll go further into that. So the kit is very small. It comes with the filter, a harvesting system, so it's basically just these two things. Basically a gym sheety and then the specific bone marrow aspirate harvesting system. This kit is set up so you can do it in your office. So what I was saying is if you're doing PRP in your office, yes, this hurts a little bit more, but you're probably going to get much better results. So this is me. Making my incision. So you want to avoid the sural nerve, so about 1 centimeter anterior to the Achilles tendon. I normally look for the tip of the fibula and the most plantar aspect of the calcaneus. Small stab incision to avoid infection. And I'll do this by hand. I do not normally use a mallet, just because you can feel the far cortex with your hand a lot better. Then, after everything's in, you take in the inner stylet and you'll take it out. This is when the system becomes very specific and why Maxx Cell is so much better. So specifically for this Maxx Cell, there's a line where you're supposed to stop that's a little thicker on the black line. This length is about the depth of the calcaneus, so it's perfect for a heel bone. You can slide this down. I don't always slide this down, but you can slide it down so you have great control when you start to aspirate. So you insert the stylet, just like you would with any marrow aspirate. Normally, for me, I have to twink everything, make sure that the scrub tech put it on good enough. And then once everything's tight, I'll push it in a little more, make sure I'm in the perfect spot so when I pull out it's good. And then you get a cc of blood. At this point, this is when the Maxx Cells peripheral blood is so important. So traditional needles, at the very end of the needle, it provides suction, so you get the peripheral blood. Peripheral blood has RBCs and granulocytes, which cause inflammation. The Maxx Cell technology has little holes on the periphery, so you're getting little pieces, not of bone, it takes out the chips, of the progenitor cells and colony-forming units. By doing this, you get the highest quality of stem cells and progenitor cells. Each turn, so 180 degrees with this, takes it back a centimeter. By taking it back a centimeter, you're going to a new viable area. When you really do bone marrow aspirate, you're supposed to insert this needle multiple times. With Maxx Cell, you don't have to do that. So this is showing me turning it 100 degrees. On a syringe, you have the milliliters to look at. And then pulling back a cc. And then you turn it again. So you keep on getting the progenitor cells from a new location. So you're getting fresh cells, which is the whole point. For something like a triple, or a meal double, or a lapidus, most foot procedures, you don't need more than 5 to 10 cc's. For our comparable system at our surgery center, I need to get 60 cc's to get 3 cc's of an equivalent. 60 cc's from the eggshell of a calcaneus is a lot. 5 to 10, patients don't normally feel it. So why is Maxx Cell so much better? If you look at it compared to the other bone marrow aspirates, the colony-forming unit count is significantly higher. So by having more of these progenitor cells, you're increasing the rate of fusion. We're always worried about non-unions and not getting fusion at our sites, and this is one of the reasons why. So if you can advance it with a 5-minute procedure, you're significantly going to increase your fusion rates. It's 100% a closed system. So when you take bone marrow aspirate that needs to be centrifuged, you have to take the bone marrow aspirate. Normally it's 4 or 5 20 cc syringes. You have to pass it off. You have to centrifuge it. I've seen in my own OR blood get on the wall. This system, there's no centrifuging, so you don't need to rely on anyone else. It has the highest actual living cells. So if you look at the colony-forming units for Maxx Cell and then their competitors, it's much higher per milliliter and in the total graft with the no centrifuge. The time it takes to centrifuge, normally, disregarding waste, normally it takes 20 to 30 minutes. So if you're doing something like a subchondroplasty, which takes 5 minutes, and you are using aspirate as well, this is something that actually was what got it into my institution, because I was parading around for 20 minutes while we were centrifuging. It doesn't make sense at all. So the whole advantage is centrifuge, you lose so much less blood, and it's just so much better. And it's an easy, reliable system where you're getting a ton of progenitor cells and a ton of living progenitor cells. And it's Royal Biologics, and you can get it in your hospitals. It's in a lot of hospitals now. These are the jigs if you want to look at them. Any questions?